The courtroom was filled with anticipation as the jury filed into the deliberation room. 12 individuals, carefully selected to determine the fate of Lisa's kidnapper, now held the power to deliver justice. They had listened intently to the testimonies, examined the evidence, and now it was time for them to weigh the facts and reach a unanimous decision. As the jurors settled into their seats, a heavy silence hung in the air. Each member of the jury understood the gravity of their responsibility. They were tasked with deciding the fate of a man accused of heinous crimes, a man who had inflicted unimaginable pain on an innocent young girl. The weight of this decision bore down on their shoulders, and they knew that their verdict would have far-reaching consequences. The jury began their deliberation by meticulously reviewing the evidence presented during the trial. They examined the forensic reports, listened to the testimonies of witnesses, and scrutinized every piece of information that had been presented before them. They discussed the credibility of the witnesses, the reliability of the evidence, and the consistency of the accounts given. One of the most crucial aspects of the trial was Lisa's testimony. Her harrowing account of the events that unfolded during her abduction had left an indelible mark on the jury's minds. They recognized the strength and courage it took for her to relive those traumatic moments in front of the court. Her unwavering determination to seek justice resonated with each juror, and they considered her testimony with utmost seriousness. The defense had presented their case, attempting to cast doubt on the prosecution's claims. They argued that the evidence was circumstantial and that there were inconsistencies in Lisa's account. They painted a picture of reasonable doubt, suggesting that the accused may not be the perpetrator. The jury carefully considered these arguments, weighing them against the evidence presented by the prosecution. The prosecution had built a strong case against the accused. They presented compelling evidence, including DNA samples, corroborating witness testimonies, and the defendant's previous criminal record. The prosecution argued that the evidence pointed to the accused as the perpetrator beyond a reasonable doubt. The jury carefully analyzed this evidence, discussing its significance and its impact on the case. The jury engaged in intense discussions, each juror voicing their thoughts and opinions. They debated the credibility of the witnesses, the strength of the evidence, and the validity of the defense's arguments. Emotions ran high as they grappled with the enormity of their decision. They knew that their verdict would not only determine the fate of the accused, but also provide closure and justice for Lisa and her family. The jury understood that the burden of proof lay with the prosecution. They carefully considered whether the evidence presented had met this burden, whether it had proven the accused's guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. They analyzed the credibility of the witnesses, the consistency of the evidence, and the overall strength of the case. Each juror took their responsibility seriously, ensuring that their decision was based on a thorough examination of the facts. After hours of deliberation, the jury reached a unanimous decision. They filed back into the courtroom, their faces solemn and determined. The judge called for order as the jury foreperson handed over the verdict slip. The tension in the room was palpable as the judge read the verdict aloud. The courtroom erupted in a mix of emotions as the judge pronounced the accused guilty on all charges. Lisa and her family, who had endured months of pain and uncertainty, felt a sense of relief wash over them. The jury's decision validated their struggle and provided them with a measure of closure. The accused, now convicted, would face the consequences of his actions. With the verdict delivered, the trial came to a close. The jury members, having fulfilled their duty, left the courtroom with a mix of emotions. They had carried the weight of responsibility and made a decision that would impact the lives of many. As they dispersed, they hoped that justice served would bring healing and closure to Lisa and her family, allowing them to move forward and rebuild their lives. The courtroom was filled with anticipation as the trial of Lisa McVeigh's kidnapper reached its climax. The judge, a stern and experienced figure, sat at the bench, ready to deliver the final verdict. The room fell silent as all eyes turned towards him, waiting for justice to be served. The prosecution had presented a compelling case against the accused, providing evidence that linked him to the kidnapping and the horrific ordeal Lisa had endured. They had called witnesses who testified to seeing the accused in the vicinity of the crime scene, and DNA evidence had been presented that matched the perpetrator. The prosecution had built a strong case, leaving no room for doubt about the guilt of the accused. The defense, on the other hand, had tried to create doubt in the minds of the jury. They argued that the evidence presented by the prosecution was circumstantial and could not conclusively prove the accused's guilt. They attempted to cast doubt on the credibility of Lisa's testimony, suggesting that she may have fabricated the entire ordeal. The defense called witnesses who testified to the accused's good character and presented an alibi for the night of the kidnapping. As the judge listened to the arguments presented by both sides, he meticulously weighed the evidence and considered the credibility of the witnesses. He knew that the decision he was about to make would have a profound impact on the lives of everyone involved. The judge understood the gravity of the situation and the responsibility that came with his position. After careful consideration, the judge made his decision. He addressed the courtroom, his voice firm and unwavering. Based on the evidence presented and the testimonies heard, I find the accused guilty of the charges brought against him, he declared. The room erupted in a mix of relief and satisfaction. Lisa, who had been anxiously awaiting the verdict, felt a weight lift off her shoulders. Finally, justice was being served. The judge proceeded to announce the sentencing. He took into account the severity of the crime and the impact it had on Lisa's life. In light of the heinous nature of the crime committed, I hereby sentence the accused to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole, he declared. The courtroom erupted in applause as the spectators and Lisa's supporters celebrated the outcome. With the judge's decision, Lisa finally found closure. The trial had been a grueling experience, forcing her to relive the trauma she had endured. But now she could begin to heal and move forward with her life. The judge's decision not only brought justice to Lisa, but also served as a message to other victims that their voices would be heard and their perpetrators held accountable. The trial had also shed light on the flaws in the justice system, highlighting the need for better support and understanding for survivors of such traumatic experiences. It sparked a conversation about the importance of believing victims and providing them with the necessary resources to heal and rebuild their lives. As Lisa left the courtroom, she felt a sense of relief and gratitude. The judge's decision had given her the closure she had longed for, and she was determined to use her experience to advocate for change. She knew that her journey towards healing was far from over, but with the support of her loved ones and the strength she had found within herself, she was ready to embrace life again. The judge's decision marked the end of a chapter in Lisa's life, but it also served as a reminder that justice could prevail even in the face of unimaginable darkness. It was a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the power of unity in the pursuit of justice. The courtroom was filled with anticipation as the trial of Lisa McVeigh's kidnapper and rapist began. The prosecution presented a strong case, backed by the evidence gathered during the detectives' investigation. The defense, on the other hand, had a challenging task ahead of them: to create doubt in the minds of the jury and secure a not guilty verdict for their client. The defense attorney, known for his persuasive tactics, approached the case with a strategy aimed at discrediting Lisa's testimony. He argued that the events described by Lisa were merely a figment of her imagination, a desperate cry for attention. The defense attorney painted Lisa as an unreliable witness, highlighting inconsistencies in her story and questioning her mental state. To support their argument, the defense called upon expert witnesses who testified about the psychological effects of trauma and the potential for false memories. They argued that Lisa's traumatic experience had led her to create a narrative that was not grounded in reality. The defense attorney skillfully planted seeds of doubt in the minds of the jury, leaving them questioning the veracity of Lisa's account. The prosecution, determined to seek justice for Lisa, presented a compelling case against the accused. They called witnesses who testified about the physical and emotional trauma Lisa had endured during her captivity. Medical experts provided evidence of the injuries sustained by Lisa, corroborating her account of the horrific ordeal. The prosecution also presented the findings of the detective's investigation, linking the accused to a series of unsolved crimes. They presented DNA evidence, placing the accused at the scene of the crime. The prosecution argued that the defendant's sudden release of Lisa was not an act of mercy, but a calculated move to avoid suspicion. The prosecution's case was further strengthened by the testimony of other victims who had survived similar attacks by the accused. Their stories mirrored Lisa's, providing a pattern of behavior that pointed directly at the defendant. The prosecution painted a vivid picture of a dangerous serial killer who had finally been brought to justice. After weeks of intense courtroom proceedings, the time had come for the jury to deliberate and deliver their verdict. The tension in the courtroom was palpable as the jury filed back into the room. The judge, with a stern expression, asked the jury foreperson to announce the verdict. "We, the jury, find the defendant guilty on all charges," the foreperson declared, his voice resolute. A collective sigh of relief swept through the courtroom as justice was finally served. Lisa, sitting in the witness stand, felt a weight lift off her shoulders. The years of pain and suffering had led to this moment where her voice was heard, and her tormentor held accountable for his actions. The accused, now convicted, showed no remorse as he was led away in handcuffs. The courtroom erupted in applause, a testament to the strength and resilience of the human spirit. Lisa's bravery had not only brought her justice, but had also ensured the safety of countless others who may have fallen victim to the accused. The trial marked the beginning of a new chapter for Lisa. With the weight of the trial lifted, she could now focus on her healing process and rebuilding her life. The support she received from her family, friends, and the community played a crucial role in her recovery. The trial also shed light on the flaws in the justice system and the need for better support for survivors of trauma. Lisa became an advocate for change, using her voice to raise awareness about the importance of believing survivors and providing them with the necessary resources to heal. As the days turned into weeks and the weeks into months, Lisa's strength and resilience continued to inspire others. Her story became a symbol of hope and a reminder that justice can be served, even in the face of unimaginable adversity. The verdict brought closure not only to Lisa, but also to the community that had followed the trial closely. It was a reminder that justice could prevail and that no one was above the law. The whispers of mercy had transformed into a resounding cry for justice, echoing through the halls of the courtroom and beyond. The aftermath of Lisa McVeigh's harrowing ordeal left her grappling with a mix of emotions. The trauma she endured during her kidnapping had left an indelible mark on her psyche, and the road to recovery seemed daunting. As she navigated through the aftermath, Lisa found herself facing numerous challenges, but also discovering her own resilience and strength. In the immediate aftermath of her release, Lisa found herself in a fragile state of mind. The memories of the horrific ordeal haunted her every waking moment, and she struggled to come to terms with what had happened. The weight of the trauma she had experienced weighed heavily on her, and she found it difficult to trust others or feel safe in her own surroundings. Recognizing the importance of seeking support, Lisa reached out to a therapist specializing in trauma recovery. Through therapy, she began to unravel the complex emotions and fears that had taken hold of her. The therapist provided a safe space for Lisa to express her feelings and helped her develop coping mechanisms to navigate the challenges ahead. Lisa also found solace in connecting with other survivors of trauma through support groups. Sharing her story with others who had experienced similar hardships allowed her to feel understood and validated. The support and empathy she received from these groups played a crucial role in her healing process. Rebuilding her life after such a traumatic event was no easy task for Lisa. She had to confront the fear and anxiety that had become deeply ingrained within her. With the support of her therapist and loved ones, she gradually started to regain a sense of normalcy. Lisa focused on reclaiming her life by engaging in activities that brought her joy and a sense of purpose. She immersed herself in hobbies such as painting and writing, which allowed her to express her emotions and find solace in creativity. Through these outlets, she discovered a newfound strength and resilience within herself. As Lisa continued her journey of healing, She discovered an inner strength she never knew she possessed. The resilience she had developed through her experiences empowered her to face her fears head-on. She refused to let the trauma define her and instead channeled her energy into advocating for survivors of similar crimes. Lisa became an active participant in raising awareness about the importance of mental health support for survivors of trauma. She shared her story through public speaking engagements, interviews, and even wrote a book detailing her experiences. By using her voice to shed light on the aftermath of such heinous crimes, Lisa aimed to inspire others to find their own strength and seek the help they needed. The aftermath of Lisa's kidnapping also had a profound impact on the ongoing investigation into the serial killer. The detective who had believed her from the start intensified his efforts to gather evidence and connect the dots. With Lisa's testimony and the newfound determination of the police force, they were able to build a strong case against the perpetrator. The trial that followed was a grueling process for Lisa, as she had to relive the trauma in front of a courtroom full of strangers. However, she remained resolute in her pursuit of justice. The prosecution presented a compelling case, highlighting the brutality of the crimes committed by the serial killer. Finally, after a long and arduous trial, the verdict was reached. The jury found the serial killer guilty on all counts, and justice was served. The courtroom erupted in applause, and Lisa felt a sense of closure wash over her. The conviction brought a measure of redemption, not only for Lisa, but also for the countless victims whose lives had been forever altered by the killer's actions. With the trial behind her, Lisa embarked on a new chapter of her life. She continued to advocate for survivors of trauma, using her platform to raise awareness and support organizations that provided crucial resources for victims. Through her resilience and determination, Lisa became a beacon of hope for others who had experienced similar horrors. The aftermath of Lisa's kidnapping was a testament to the power of resilience and the human spirit's ability to heal. While the scars of her ordeal would always remain, Lisa's journey towards healing and justice served as an inspiration to others. Her story became a whisper of mercy, reminding the world of the strength that can emerge from the darkest of times.